At level 1, you are eating instant noodles and the idea will not leave you alone. At level 6, you become a billionaire at 11:34 on a Tuesday morning. You go back to the meeting. At level 10, you tanked a currency once. Not on purpose, just because you said something out loud. This is your life at every stage as a billionaire. Level 1. The apartment is small. The futon is technically a couch, but you sleep on it anyway because the bedroom has become something else. A wall of notes, printed research, a whiteboard with a diagram that makes complete sense to you and looks like a conspiracy theory to everyone else. You are not broke exactly. You have enough. Enough is the problem. Enough does not require the thing that is living in your head. The idea came from a problem. All the real ones do. You were trying to do something, order something, connect something, build something, move something. And the process was so unnecessarily difficult that you sat with the frustration long enough to think, why has nobody fixed this? And then the thought that changes everything. I could fix this. You tell your friends. Some of them are supportive in the way friends are supportive, enthusiastically in the moment and privately skeptical for the long term. One of them says, "What about money?" You say, "I will figure it out." This is the founding document of every company that has ever existed. I will figure it out. You quit your job or you do not quit yet, but you are no longer really at your job. Your body is there. Your mind is in a room that does not exist, yet building something that does not exist yet. The noodles are fine. You are not thinking about the noodles. Level 2. You have co-founders or you do not. If you do, they are people you trust completely right now and will have complicated feelings about in 5 years. That is not a warning. That is just what happens when you build something with someone under conditions that would test most relationships. The early days are 18 hours, and then you sleep, and then 18 hours again. Not because someone told you to. Because the gap between where the thing is and where it needs to be is so large that stopping feels like losing ground. You are doing everything. You are the product, and the sales, and the customer service, and the IT department, and the person who fixes the printer. The printer breaks twice a week. You have started to take it personally. You get your first customer. This moment is larger than it sounds. Your first customer is a real person who looked at the thing you built in the apartment on the whiteboard that looked like a conspiracy theory and said, "Yes, I want that," and gave you real money for it. That is the day the idea becomes a company. You frame nothing. You do not have time to frame anything, but you remember it. Level 3. The first million arrives. Not as a single moment. Not as a check someone hands you across a desk. It accumulates. Revenue building, a funding round closing, a number on a dashboard crossing a threshold on a Wednesday afternoon while you are in the middle of a call about something else entirely. You look at it. You go back to the call. This is your first indication that money at scale behaves differently than you expected. You thought the first million would feel like arrival. It feels like confirmation. Confirmation that the thing you were building was real. That the whiteboard was not a conspiracy theory. That the noodle years were going somewhere. But it does not stop. The moment passes and the next problem is already in the inbox. You hire people. This is the first time you understand that building a company is also building a culture, and culture is invisible until it goes wrong, and then it is the only thing anyone can talk about. You move out of the apartment. You get a real desk. You look at it for a moment. The desk, the office, the people across the room you are responsible for. And you feel something close to the thing you expected the million to feel like. Then someone knocks on the door. There is a problem with the product. You go fix the problem with the product. Level 4. The company becomes a real thing. Not a startup, not a venture, a company. The kind with departments and meetings about meetings and an HR process and a values document on the wall that you wrote in a hotel room at 2 in the morning on the way to a pitch, and which now has a framed version in the lobby. You have investors now. Investors are people who believe in what you are building and also have opinions about how you should build it, and also have a board seat. The board is a new experience, Before the board, you answered to your vision. Now you answer to your vision plus 4 people in a room who have spreadsheets. You learn to present to the board. Presenting to the board is a specific skill that has almost nothing to do with the skill of actually running a company. You become good at it anyway. You become good at a lot of things you did not expect to need to be good at. Negotiation, public speaking, firing people. The last one is the one nobody prepares you for. Looking at someone who gave real time and real effort to something you built and telling them it is not working. That does not get easier. You hear that it gets easier. It does not. But you do it, because the company needs it, and the company is the thing. Level 5. The number with the most zeros you have ever personally been connected to lands. $100 million. In valuation or in revenue or in a raise or in a secondary sale where you took some chips off the table and the chips were worth more than you can fully reconcile with your memory of the futon. Something shifts. Not in what you do, in how people treat you. People who did not return your emails 3 years ago are now reaching out to reconnect. You remember who they are? You respond warmly because you have learned that the world is long and being difficult is expensive. But you remember. You also notice something happening in the rooms around you. The feedback is changing. When you were at level 2, people told you when you were wrong. They needed to because you were wrong frequently and the company needed correcting. At level 5, people are starting to tell you when you are right more than they tell you when you are wrong. This is the first dangerous thing to happen to you. Not the money. The feedback. The money is just a number. The feedback is how you understand reality. And reality is starting to be curated for you by people who need things from you. You do not notice this yet. You will. Level 6. You become a billionaire at 11:34 on a Tuesday morning. You know this because someone sends you a screenshot of a financial publication with your name and a number in the headline. The number has 10 digits. One of them is in front of the decimal point. You are in a meeting about server infrastructure when it happens. You look at the screenshot. You put the phone down. You go back to the server infrastructure meeting. This is not performed calm. This is genuine. The billion does not feel the way it sounds because the billion is largely theoretical. It is the value the market has assigned to the company, not a number in an account you can access. You cannot spend the billion. The billion is a story the market is telling about you. What you can spend is enough that money has stopped being a language you speak the way other people speak it. You no longer look at prices. Not because you are being careless, because prices have stopped being relevant information. This sounds like freedom. It is also a form of disconnection. A small one. For now. You are a billionaire. Level 7. The calls start coming from a different category of person. Not investors, not journalists, senators, ministers, heads of state. People who make laws are calling you because the thing you built has become infrastructure. Not metaphorical infrastructure, actual infrastructure that a significant portion of human activity now runs on. And they need to understand it, and also they need you to need them, and you do not need them. And that makes the relationship complicated. You testify before a committee. The committee has printed out your tweets. Some of them are from 8 years ago. The senators ask you questions about technology that reveal they do not understand technology, and you answer carefully and respectfully. And inside, you are aware that you understand the thing they are regulating better than anyone in the room, including yourself sometimes. The thing about power at this level is that it does not feel like power. It feels like responsibility that nobody else can share because nobody else has the context. That is what you tell yourself. That is also exactly what power feels like from the inside when it is working correctly on your psychology. The two are not always different things. Sometimes they are the same thing. The knowing which is the work. Level 8. You have a vision, not a company vision, a civilizational vision. You have looked at the trajectory of humanity, the energy problem, the species risk problem, the information problem, the population problem. And you have decided that the market solutions are not moving fast enough, and the government solutions are captured by short-term incentives, and the only entity with the capital, the speed, and the lack of bureaucratic drag to actually address these things is you. This is not entirely wrong. That is what makes it complicated. You start multiple companies, not because the market needs them, because the problems need solving and you are the person solving them and time is running out, and if not you, then who? The people around you have stopped asking whether this is a good idea. They stopped asking that some time ago. Now they ask how. How is a more functional question in a room where the person at the center has enough capital to make how a solvable problem regardless of whether the underlying why has been interrogated lately. You post on the internet constantly. Your posts move markets. They move culture. They move conversations in directions that previously required media organizations and editorial teams and publication schedules. You say something and it becomes a thing that happened. That is an unusual amount of power for one account. You find this interesting rather than sobering. Level 9. Something goes wrong publicly. Maybe you said something. Maybe you did something. Maybe the company did something and you are the company, and so you did something. The specifics are less important than the structure of what follows. The structure is this. Half the world decides you are a villain. The other half decides the people calling you a villain are the real villains. Both halves spend enormous energy on this. Neither half has the full picture. You have more money than most countries. You have a platform that reaches hundreds of millions of people. You have a legal team and a PR team and an army of people online who will argue your case for free because they have decided that their identity is connected to yours in a way that benefits them psychologically. The controversy does not end you. This is the thing about level 9 that surprises people who are watching from outside. At this level, you are not subject to the same consequences as a human being operating at normal scale. The systems that apply consequences, financial, social, reputational, legal, were designed for people with significantly less money and significantly less infrastructure than you have. Some of that is unfair in ways that should concern everyone, including you. Some of it is just the math of operating at scale. Most of it is both simultaneously. You emerge from the controversy, slightly reshaped, mostly intact. Level 10. You are no longer a person in the way that most people are persons. You are an entity. You have a company that runs satellites. You have a company that is trying to reduce the species' risk from artificial intelligence. You have a company that is building cities. You have a social media platform that shapes what hundreds of millions of people believe is happening in the world. You have advisors who used to be heads of state. You have a security operation that is larger than the police force of several small nations. You have more data on human behavior than any government that has ever existed. And here's the thing about level 10 that does not get said clearly enough. The checks and balances that democratic societies spent centuries building, the oversight, the regulation, the accountability structures, were designed for a world where no single private individual could accumulate this combination of capital, infrastructure, data, and platform reach simultaneously. You are not a villain in a movie. You are a structural problem that the existing systems were not designed to handle. That is not an accusation. That is an architectural observation. You wake up. You look at your phone. There are messages from a president, a central bank governor, and a rocket engineer with a problem that needs solving before Thursday. You answer the rocket engineer first, because the rocket is the most interesting problem. And at level 10, you follow what is interesting, because interesting is the only thing that still feels like a real feeling. The world is watching. Some of them are grateful. Some of them are terrified. Most of them are using one of your products to express their opinion about which one they are. You built the thing, you became the thing. The question nobody has fully answered yet, including you, is whether those are the same thing. Every billionaire starts somewhere small: a garage, a dorm room, a futon with a whiteboard behind it. The money is not what changes them. The money is what removes the friction between what they want and what happens. And when friction disappears, when the gap between thought and outcome closes completely, what you find out is what was always there. Subscribe. Tell me which level you think the change happens. And drop the next topic in the comments. We are just getting started.